Our verse for this year was Romans 5:20, and it talks about three main parts of it: the law, sin, and grace. It talks about how the law entered in so that the trespass or the sin might increase, but where sin increased, grace increased all the more. We took our title from the King James version of that verse, which says, "Where sin did abound, grace did much more abound." And that's where the title of our film came from, Abound. I like telling stories about relationships. This story, it's just a story of a father and a daughter.
Now, who do you play on this set?
I don't know. I haven't read the script yet. I really don't have time for that kind of stuff. No, I play the dad of Rachel from October Baby, Rachel Hendrix, and her character is Cassie. I'm her dad, who at first kind of represents the law. I'm laying down the law. I have 3 boys, and we try to teach them right from wrong, and sometimes it just comes out a little too stern.
It's tough to get into character when you haven't had a lot of time to spend with the character, so you're kind of doing this fly by the seat of your pants mentality, which gives it a really raw quality, which is fun and unique and different. But I feel like I'm just starting to get to know who Cassie is, what it's like to go through having some sort of a strange relationship with your father, and what it's like to want your independence but also depend on a parent, and the conflict that arises from that.
My character is the villain. Nick is someone that comes across as kind of a charming guy, kind of an interesting guy that sort of attracts the protagonist, Cassie. He's kind of the bad boy that Cassie's interested in the opening of the movie, but he turns out to be a much badder boy than she was bargaining for.
It's just a story about a father and a daughter, and then how she gets mixed up in some things and ends up having a bad relationship with her father, but ultimately coming back to him and being reconciled. We faced some big challenges with our script, mainly the fact that we didn't have one. We had a writing team. We were looking to find the right story to tell.
When we first got the verse, we studied it on our own, and we came up with some ideas.
But we had already locked in Michael Joyner, Josh Murray, and Rachel Hendrix. And so we wanted a script that obviously worked with all of those actors, and of course had to tell a story within the context of Romans 5:20. It took us a while to find that story, and we ended up thinking we had an idea for a story and starting to develop that, and then saying, oh, that's not going to work. There's some concerns with that.
Gary and Kimberly liked one idea in particular, so we would charge it ahead with that idea. Then we found out that it's just not going to work.
On Wednesday night, we had another set of issues, and we were ready to just completely start from scratch. So what ended up happening was on Thursday morning, Thursday was supposed to be the first day of the shoot. We didn't have our script. And so I sat down with the actors, and we just sort of all worked together and came up with the story that we wanted to tell. But in the process of doing that, we lost a full day of shooting, which when you're planning for a 4-day shoot and that becomes a 3-day shoot, that's a huge challenge. As a director, you have a vision for a film. Part of that vision involves the shots you need to get, and with that, of course, the schedule. And coming into it knowing we've lost 1/4 of what our scheduled time can be unless we try to go into Monday, which we really couldn't do because Michael Joyner was not available. He was shooting another film on Monday. And so we knew we had limited time to get the shots we needed to. And the thoughts there are, how are we going to do this?
I found that in 168 experience, because I've done a couple, the verse is divinely appointed a lot of times. During this week of making this movie, we were really falling short, and that's really what the verse is about, is that you can't fulfill the law on your own. You can't measure up to perfection. We all fall short, we all make mistakes, and we all are responsible for the results of our actions. But no matter how hard and how far you fall, if you're willing to recognize that you need grace, it can be available to you. And sometimes God uses your mistakes and your biggest mistakes to be the very thing that saves you.
There were a few times where I wondered if it was going to happen. But ultimately our post team really came through, and we ended up turning it in, I believe, 5 hours early. So that's nice.